We begin with cultural heritage. The central government has finalized the Sangeet Natak Academy Awards and the Ustad Bismillah Khan Yuva Puraskar for 2024 and 2025. Assam secured 5 specific Sangeet Natak Academy seats: Prema Oja Borbayan, Malika Kandali, and Bhaskar Jyoti Oja for Satriya, Bipul Chandra Das for Kathak, and Chaitanya Das for acting. Simultaneously, 6 artists from the state secured the youth-focused Yuva Puraskar. Tracking these youth awards provides a critical metric. It proves the generational transfer and continuation of these specific traditional art forms is actively occurring. Across both sets of honors, Satriya dance and music dominate the state's representation. This aligns directly with Prasar Bharati conferring its highest top-grade recognition to Satriya artists like Ramkrishna Tolakdar, heavily institutionalizing the dance form at the national broadcasting level. When drafting a mains answer regarding state and institutional support for Assam's intangible cultural heritage, you bypass vague statements. You cite these exact awards, these specific artist demographics, and Prasar Bharati's grading system as your primary evidence. Transitioning to physical geography and economic infrastructure, the Union Cabinet has approved the underwater Brahmaputra Tunnel connecting Gopur to Numaligarh. This topographical map outlines the current geographical bottleneck. To navigate between these 2 points requires an indirect 240-kilometer road route wrapping around the river, consuming roughly 6 hours of travel time. The engineering solution bypasses the surface completely. The project utilizes a twin-tube rail-cum-road tunnel cutting directly beneath the riverbed. This establishes 3 highly testable metrics for your answers. The route length drops to 33.7 kilometers. The capital expenditure is estimated at 18,662 crore rupees, and the travel time plummets from 6 hours to just 20 minutes. On the civilian economic front, this acts as a massive logistics multiplier. Slicing transit time drastically reduces heavy freight and commercial movement costs. On the military front, the subsurface route enables the rapid, secure deployment of troops and heavy armor within the highly sensitive Northeast Corridor. The Gopur-Numaligarh Tunnel is a clear example of dual-use infrastructure. It reduces the region's logistical barriers while resolving a documented national security vulnerability. Moving to Polity, the Prime Minister recently chaired the 11th Governing Council meeting of Niti Aayog in New Delhi. For the first time, chief ministers from all 28 states and leaders from 5 union territories attended. In GS Paper 2, you cite this full quorum attendance as a benchmark indicator of cooperative federalism in practical operation. The core directive issued to the states was dual-pronged. They must harness the economic opportunities of artificial intelligence while simultaneously engineering safeguards against its risks. The Council identified 2 specific modern social risks requiring immediate state-level mitigation: the proliferation of advanced cyber fraud and drug abuse. A secondary economic directive urged states to adopt global best practices to attract foreign direct investment and to specifically equip their local MSMEs to capitalize on new international export agreements. The central vision for a Viksit Bharat, or developed India, shifts the heavy operational burden of advanced technological governance and localized social risk mitigation directly onto the shoulders of state administrations. This chart shows India's forecasted GDP growth. According to the latest data from Fitch Group company BMI, India's growth will decelerate from a peak of 7.7% in FY26 down to a 6.6% projection for FY27. The forecast identifies 3 distinct downward pressures. The first is domestic. The heavy consumption boom that immediately followed the previous year's GST reforms is actively waning. The second pressure is external. Escalating conflicts in the Middle East are generating severe terms of trade shocks, directly inflating the cost of energy imports. The third pressure stems from monetary policy. Analysts project a slowdown in private investment growth, caused by the delayed compounding effects of domestic interest rates. However, BMI identifies a specific counterbalance. The rupee is projected to depreciate to roughly 95.1 against the US dollar. This lower valuation mathematically increases the price competitiveness of Indian exports on the global market. This forecast perfectly illustrates the vulnerability of India's domestic consumption to global supply chain shocks. It reinforces why the economy requires heavy, export-driven resilience to maintain its baseline growth. we can contrast those global macroeconomic shocks with grassroots ecological resilience through the nationwide Khet Bachao Abhiyan campaign. In Assam, the on-the-ground implementation of this initiative is being executed by the Krishi Vigyan Kendra, or KVK, specifically active across the Tinsukia district. The technical shift they are enforcing abandons blind, standardized fertilizer application. Instead, they are training farmers in precise soil test-based nutrient management. To execute this, the initiative pushes farmers away from chemical imports and toward the adoption of low-cost, domestically produced biolai extreme weather events and regional flooding. National food security in the 21st century relies entirely on these micro-level, science-based interventions that force agriculture to become climate resilient from the soil up. Transitioning to strategic resource sovereignty, state-run NLC India Limited has formalized a Memorandum of Understanding with the Research Institute, CSIR-CECRI. The primary objective of this collaboration is the localized extraction of rare earth elements and other highly strategic critical minerals. This flowchart demonstrates the exact technological innovation driving the pact. They are bypassing traditional primary mining. Instead, they are utilizing advanced beneficiation technologies to recover rare earth elements directly from secondary sources, like existing mine tailings and overburden waste. Securing these specific elements is mandatory. They are the base raw materials required to feed India's clean energy transition and power its advanced domestic manufacturing sectors. This raw material supply chain links directly back to the NITI Aayog mandate from earlier. You cannot build the physical infrastructure required to deploy artificial intelligence without a secured supply of critical minerals. True technological independence requires securing the domestic life cycle of these resources. This initiative actively transforms discarded mine waste into the foundation for next-generation microchips.